Hello and welcome to the final speed builds for the alpha of Planet Coaster. We will be moving on to a proper park here in November as the beta is released here next week or so. And I want to take a little bit of a breather from Planet Coaster during that time just so I have enough energy within me to take on a next large park and large project so we can tackle it, I think, with a good amount of spirit. What we're doing this episode, obviously from the title you can tell, we are making the spirit portal into the spirit world that's featured at the beginning of Spirited Away. This is my favorite Miyazaki film probably of all time. Probably a close second would probably be Nausicaa Valley of the Wind. But this one is just pretty much perfect. This little shrine area is a little bit hard to do in Planet Coaster because it has two sides, right? It's going to have the real world side and the spirit world side, and these aren't really connected. They're connected by a really long tunnel, but in the real world you only see one side of it and the rest is covered by trees. And then on the other side, in the spirit world side, this is actually just in the middle of a field. Like, you don't know where the tunnel comes from or goes or how it even operates technically. So, combining these two structures in one was a little bit of a design philosophy just so, the structure reads and so people understand what it is. But also, it's not quite accurate because obviously, there's going to be a forest on the backside that shouldn't be there on one side or another. And even the clock tower shouldn't be visible. Anyways, the roofing and things, very Japanese, very Asian kind of style here. I did make kind of a custom roof piece for this. Now, I didn't go as detailed as I probably should have on the roof, but I am trying to save parts. I do want to try and make these blueprints. Now, currently, it's at, I think, about 1,700 total parts. Now, mainly because roofing like this takes a lot of time, takes a lot of little parts, especially this main curve section here. You can see we're doing these individual spines to make up the large, they're almost like rounded tiles, Asian roofs and Japanese roofs are. And to get that look, it takes a whole lot of little blocks here. So until we get probably the 2,000 part limit here in beta next week, it won't be on the workshop, but afterwards it will be, and I'll make sure to let you guys know probably at the start of the next park when this is available. Moving on from that, obviously it's a pretty plain building. There's not a whole lot of wall decorations. It's mainly roof decorations and little elements splashed around to give it some character, but other than that, very plain. It has a nice kind of dark red color to it with a kind of plaster base. Now that plaster base is bumped out from the wall, which isn't quite correct, so at the end, kind of off camera, I ended up just fixing the wall a little bit, but that's just a marker to make sure I know it's still there. The top middle kind of clock tower there that I'm trying to play with this early on just so I can get an idea of how I want the roof to look, but we end up kind of manually sculpting that later in the speed build section. And this is of course kind of a shorter episode as our build series have been, and that's just simply because it's a simple one-off structure followed by no real scenery put around it. We don't have to worry about it meshing into anything else. We're just trying to build the structure kind of quickly and as accurately as we can probably do. Now, the back side of the structure does have a little bit of a roof area here, and there'll also be some balcony elements hanging off the sides, which are pretty unique. Now, these balcony elements, when I get enough, urge to maybe make the onsen that is in Spirited Away, this type of building will have a lot of these. So it's going to have a lot of these kind of windowed, walled areas and juts and balconies, very similar to what we're doing now. And, getting these and kind of learning this slight kind of build method, I think is super important for later and more complicated builds. In fact, if I had to guess how much that onsen is going to take in terms of parts, that's probably going to be a multi-thousand piece structure. So I'm talking probably I could probably do it in 100,000 pieces. If you think about it, just do the roof details, all the piping, little balconies, windows everywhere, wall pieces. If you thought Dracula's castle was intense, wait until we try and start building that onsen. Obviously, there's some sirens going on outside. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I'm going to go ahead and apologize like always due to city living and everything. A little bit of an upper window there. Pretty cool effect, you know, using a wagon wheel to get the window frame in there, and then using one of the pillars to bring in some color so that we have some separation between the wall and the wagon wheel itself. We also get some porthole-like window elements along the side and base of the building, which is pretty cool. And now we are moving on to the real-world side of the portal. So this is where the family enter and basically get trapped from that point on. So it's a pretty cool building. We got a nice facade on the front, kind of plain but also detailed at the same time. That's why I really like a lot of Miyazaki's designs. Like they're very well layered, and they convey exactly pretty much all you need to know about the building and then move on. So not a whole lot of extra fat on these buildings. It's just a very simple, quick, hey, there's an overhang giving us depth and some windows there giving us some even finer details, but beyond that, leave it. It's done. We're good. This is the upper kind of clock tower roof. Now, it is at an odd angle, so we're going to have to manually build up the roof here, and the best way, of course, is to align it with the grid as close as possible. You know, take your time doing this kind of stuff because it's going to save you time down the line, and getting those angles correct. It's basically a swooping motion upwards, and then it holds up this very kind of ornate clock itself. It's a 4-sided clock with a bunch of gold ornate kind of elements onto it, and then another kind of peaked roof atop of that. And this roof is actually green, very reminiscent of, say, like a copper roof that's turned green with age, and that's a pretty cool element to have. Again, if I wanted to use a lot more pieces, I could have really made those roof tiles look like individual little shingles, but due to part limitations and me wanting to eventually save this as a blueprint, it's not something that we're going to do. Now, for my own parks, I will be doing stuff like that, so get ready for that in the next build. So we'll go ahead and add that to the building and finish up the speed build here. At this point, we'll go ahead and jump over to real time and take a look at it with some more finishing touches. So here we are, and before we take a nice close look at the portal entrance here, I'm going to go ahead and drag our attention away just for a split second and show you guys something I was working on and then decided to scrap. It was a coaster station idea that I was playing around with, and it just became too complicated to continue. But I do want to show you guys something that I do want to make in the beta, and this is a keelback from Elite Dangerous. You can kind of slightly start seeing the profile come together in the large cockpit here, also the rotating engines. But the keelback is special because, one, it's one of the ships I fly in Elite. It's kind of a special multi-role ship that I like. But also the fact that it has a ship-launched fighter capacity. And I want to talk and toss this idea around because we're going to get many more versatile parts in beta that'll probably allow me to do this a lot quicker and with less parts anyways. And for this coaster station, I was thinking, well, maybe you're a ship-launched fighter. You're going to, shoot out of here and go out of the actual markings and everything, and then maybe go through a dogfight. So that's just an idea I wanted to toss out to you guys to see if you might like that for a sci-fi section. I mean, we did build a landing pad from Elite earlier, so doing an Elite themed park, I think, would be a pretty cool, unique thing. I don't think many people have built many things from Elite yet, so it's just, I think it's a good idea to bring in Frontiers games and connect them in some sort of fashion. So enough of that. Let's just go back over here real quick, and you guys can see what we have. So this is the spirit side of the gatehouse, you could say. It's got a tall clock tower, and then also a main clock face down lower. Two little windows here, very plain. Those might need to be inset probably a little closer to the building, just because they might stick out just a little bit too much. These are doors, and the problem with using doors is that they're not quite designed to be worked as windows, but you can do it. I just needed something kind of taller than a normal window with some wooden and iron work on it. Here is the door. Now, normally this is just an open tunnel that you can simply walk through, etc. But for now, I'm just leaving it a door. If I moved it into a park, I'd probably use some of the interior space. We do have a decent amount. Could make restrooms out of it. Could make it a ticket booth, for example. If it's at the entrance of the park, you can have people come in here, pay on the inside, and then they're kind of whisked away into a whole new world. So I think that'd be a pretty cool thing to do. Here's a nice close look at the side windows, kind of almost as if there is some boarding and lodging up here, so that you can have a nice little view from this tower itself. And then I put some trees here to help divide the two areas, because obviously that is something that we need. And let's go ahead and switch over to the other side. So the other side looks like this. So this would be the side the family come to initially, park their car, and walk on through. Now, obviously, I needed that little, almost like a, I don't know the correct name of it, but it's almost like a religious little spirit statue at the entrance here, and that's what I used little pufferfish for, and it's adorable, so that works out. Now, also, this whole tree line should be pretty much growing over this whole section to where you can't see this clock tower, but due to clipping and things like that, I decided that we're just gonna have to leave it as is and hope for the best otherwise. But it is a relatively simple building, and I hope you guys enjoyed the build process. All the parts are mainly in the roof tiling and wooden tiles like that. So that pretty much sums up while we wait on the workshop item to come out. If you guys enjoyed today's episode, feel free to subscribe to my channel for more creative goodness. Go ahead and leave a like if you guys are excited for the new Planet Coaster Park. Leave a comment down below on maybe some park themed elements that you want to see for the next season, and ideas, suggestions for anything that you want to see on my channel. Go ahead and do that as well. So until next time, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all